So I want to ask you first off, what do you think the top priority with the American voter is going to be this fall? Is it the economy? Is it the war? Is it gas prices? Is it, what is it?
I think it's clearly the economy, but the energy crisis is a major concern of Americans. As part of that, people can't stay in their homes, have lost their jobs, but right now the energy, the paying $4 a gallon or a little less for gasoline is the focus of a lot of their attention, which is why they want to drill offshore and drill now.
That has become the simplified version of your energy plan. I think that you've gotten that across. You certainly have gotten that across.
Yeah, but could I just say,
sure.
I'm for all of the above: wind, tide, solar, nuclear, natural gas. All of those have got to be components, including automobiles that are hybrids or electric or hydrogen, etc. But right now, to bridge our gap to energy independence, drilling offshore is one of the measures that needs to be taken.
That's what I call it the simple version. And that's what happens sometimes, just the simple version comes
Sure.
out. Well, Tom Friedman of the New York Times took you a little bit to task a week ago on that, pointing out that I think he said you missed 8 votes and that the Senate has not been able to pass this alternative energy bill. Just a reaction to that. What did is that the right bill? What's the problem with it?
Oh, listen, the people of Arizona and people know that when you're running for president, you miss votes in the Senate. These are tax extenders that should have been permanent to start with. I've been a long-time supporter of these kinds of incentives for alternate energy. So my record is very clear. My support for nuclear, for wind, tide, solar, for all of these that are necessary for energy independence.
All right, let's move on to something a little bit else. You're a military man.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think when you came back, you went to the National War College.
Yes, I did.
The military has a great tradition of studying, of taking officers and let them studying and coming out with papers that I think David Petraeus came out with a paper that wasn't necessarily the favorite of what you might call the command structure at the time, that turned into something called the Surge. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
But what about expanding that when you're president? Will we look back and find out some of the things that seem to have gone wrong over the last 8 to 20 years or whatever? Is there any benefit to that, doing what the military does, analyzing what we did right, what we did wrong? Is there any benefit to that in the government?
Oh yeah, you have to do that, particularly given the situation in the world today where we have autocracies that are maybe benefiting economically, but their people are deprived of their rights, and more repressive regimes, the challenges of radical Islamic extremism, the recent behavior of the Russians, which I have been warning about for a long time. This is a very dangerous world that we live in, but America still is the world superpower, and we must lead. We must work with others, but we're still going to have to lead, and that means learning by our mistakes.
How will, one of the things that what the Democrats are trying to paint you with is that the McCain administration will be the 3rd term of the Bush administration. I gather you don't agree with that completely?
Well, when you look at my record, I was not elected Miss Congeniality in the Senate, whether it be spending or climate change or torture of prisoners or a whole variety of issues. I have not agreed with the Bush administration, but most Americans want to know what you're going to do for them. But also I think they will look at my record of standing up for the American people first and my party second.
Economy. You voted against the Bush tax cuts, and now you say we need to extend them. Help me with that.
Well, I had a tax cut package of my own. The problem has not been tax revenues. The problem has been spending. Spending completely out of control. I took a firm stand then. I predicted that we would mortgage our children's futures, and we have. The size of government has grown 40% in the last 7 years. That's disgraceful. And earmark and pork barrel spending has led to corruption. We have former members of Congress residing in federal prison. I fought against the spending. I had tax cuts of my own. I think the worst thing you can do is increase taxes in time of economic difficulty. Senator Obama wants to raise taxes. I want to keep them low.
A tradition we've had in this country until this previous war, though, is in time of war, because war is expensive. We have had, and the public has understood, raising taxes. I think almost every other war we've had to pay for it. We didn't pay for this one. This one's one that's out there. It's added to the deficit. Can we catch up to that without doing some kind of taxing?
Well, first of all, as a percent of our gross national product, we had a great benefit at the end of the Cold War. We're still spending less than we were during the, quote, Cold War. But the important thing is the spending. The spending, we don't have to raise people's taxes. We have to eliminate the out-of-control spending. That we've increased the size of government by 40% in the last 7 years. The greatest expansion and spending since the Great Society. So if we want to raise taxes and then continue to increase spending, there's no benefit associated with that. So I want to get spending under control, and especially in tough economic times, we never should raise taxes. I'm against increasing taxes.
Where do we cut?
Well, let's look at every aspect of government and eliminate those that are unnecessary. Let's stop subsidizing the wealthiest farmers. Let's stop spending money on defense systems which are redundant and unnecessary. Look, the list goes on and on and on, and we should pay for any additional programs that we adopt. But we can look. There's so much waste. Look, there was billions and billions of dollars just in the last appropriations bill. Something like 9,000 projects. You could start out by eliminating those.
Final question. You're sitting with a replica of a Mercury capsule over your shoulder. One of your former colleagues actually crawled in one of those things and flew around the Earth 3 times. You're on the Space Coast. Give me your definite, whatever you think the people need to know about where you stand on the space program.
I stand for not cutting any of the NASA budget, which Senator Obama proposed and then reversed himself, as he has on a number of things. I think we have to give a national priority to our efforts on the moon, in the International Space Shuttle, and Mars. Americans are excited about these. We can excite them again, and it is a national security issue when you look at the competition from both Russia and China. Space still is the last frontier. We have to continue to lead.
Senator McCain, thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.